There are 14 tell me questions. However, in the driving test, only one of these will be asked by the examiner. Question 1. Tell me how you would check that the brakes are working before starting a journey. The brakes should not feel spongy or slack. They should be tested as we set off. The vehicle should not pull to one side. Question 2. Tell me where you'd find the information for the recommended tyre pressure for this car and how tyre pressures should be checked. The recommended tyre pressure can be found in the manufacturer's guide. We should use a reliable pressure gauge to check the tyres. We should check and adjust the tyre pressures when the tyres are cold. Don't forget the spare tyre, remembering to refit the valve caps. Question 3. Tell me how you make sure that your head restraint is correctly adjusted so it provides the best protection in the event of a crash. The head restraint should be adjusted so that the rigid part of the head restraint is at least as high as the eyes or the top of the ears, and as close to the head as possible. Note that some head restraints may not be adjustable. Question 4. Tell me how you check the tyres to ensure that they have sufficient tread depth and that their general condition is safe to use on the road. There should be no cuts or bulges. The tread depth must be at least 1.6 millimeters across the 3/4 of the breadth of the tyre and around the entire circumference of the tyre. Question 5. Tell me how you would check the headlights and the tail lights are working. You do not need to exit the vehicle. Explain that we would turn the ignition on and then operate the switch. We would normally walk around the vehicle. However, as this is a tell me question, there is no physical need to actually check the lights. Question 6. Tell me how you'd know if there was a problem with your anti-lock braking system. The warning light should illuminate if there is a fault with the anti-lock braking system. Question 7. Tell me how you'd check the direction indicators are working. You do not need to exit the vehicle. We would turn on the ignition if necessary and then explain that we operate the switch and then walk around the vehicle. However, as this is a tell me question, we do not physically need to check the lights. Question 8. Tell me how you'd check the brake lights are working on this car. We would turn on the ignition if necessary and then explain that we would operate the brake pedal, making use of any reflections in windows or doors, or alternatively, we could ask somebody for help. Question 9. Tell me how you'd check that the power-assisted steering wheel is working before starting a journey. If the steering becomes heavy, the system may not be working properly. Before starting a journey, 2 simple checks can be made. Applying gentle pressure to the steering wheel, maintained while the engine is started, should result in a slight but noticeable movement as the system begins to operate. Alternatively, turning the steering wheel just after moving will give us an immediate indication that the power assistance is functioning. Question 10. Tell me how you'd switch on the rear fog lights and explain when you'd use them. You do not need to exit the vehicle. Have the ignition on if necessary and then turn on the dipped headlights before operating the switch to turn the fog lights on. Check that the warning light is on. Fog lights should only be used when visibility is below 100 meters. Question 11. Tell me how you'd switch your headlights from dipped to main beam and explain how you know that the main beam is on. We would operate the switch with the ignition on if necessary and then check that the main beam warning light is on. Question 12. Open the bonnet and tell me how you check that the engine has sufficient oil. Firstly, having opened the bonnet, make sure that it is secure. Identify the dipstick and explain that the oil level should be between the minimum and the maximum markers. Question 13. Open the bonnet and tell me how you check that the engine has sufficient engine coolant. Identify the high and low level markers on the header tank where fitted, or the radiator filler cap, and then describe how to top up to the correct level. Question 14. Open the bonnet and tell me how you check that you have a safe level of hydraulic brake fluid. Identify the brake fluid reservoir, then check against the high and the low markings. Remember to securely close the bonnet. That was the last of the tell me questions. There are 7 show me questions. However, once again, the examiner will only request 1 question. The show me question will be requested on the move. If we are unsure of the answer, it is better that we admit it rather than losing control of the vehicle. Question 1. When it's safe to do so, can you show me how you wash and clean the rear windscreen? The control for the rear windscreen washer will be located near the wiper controls. Operate the control without looking down at it. For the Suzuki Swift, simply twist the control as much as it would go towards the clockwise direction and hold it there for a few seconds. Question 2. When it's safe to do so, can you show me how you wash and clean the front windscreen? On this particular vehicle, we would pull the wiper stalk towards ourselves and then hold it there for a few seconds. Question 3. When it's safe to do so, can you show me how you'd switch on your dipped headlights? On this particular vehicle, the light controls are on the indicator stalk. Twist the stalk in an anti-clockwise direction. We will see the green symbol illuminate on the dashboard. Question 4. When it's safe to do so, can you show me how you'd set the rear demister? We would press the button showing this symbol. Question 5. When it's safe to do so, can you show me how you'd operate the horn? Push down on the horn for a second or 2. Question 6. When it's safe to do so, can you show me how you demist the front windscreen? Simply press the button showing this symbol. Question 7. When it's safe to do so, can you show me how you'd open and close the side window? Push down on the control to open the window and pull up the control to close the window.